At first light, a shadow rises slowly from the surf. Blastoise climbs onto the black volcanic rock like a living fortress pulled from the ocean itself. Steam rolls across the tide pools while wingulls scatter overhead and tentacool drift below, sensing pressure moving through the water. Blastoise steps forward slowly, every movement deliberate, every shift of weight controlled with enormous precision. Along the rocks, Krabby freeze in place while Shelder clamp tighter to the stone, instinctively reacting to the giant passing through their world. In the narrow tide corridors ahead, Staryu glimmer beneath the surface like fallen stars drifting through the shallow pools. Goldeen flash between rocks like sparks of gold before disappearing into deeper shadow. Suddenly, a Seadra bursts from a crevice, fast, fearless, and perfectly adapted to strike where armor is weakest. But Blastoise answers instantly, swinging one massive forearm that crashes through the water like a battering ram. The impact sends Seadra sliding across the pool in a violent burst of spray. Blastoise advances, calm and silent, its presence shrinking the entire tide pool around it. One cannon slowly tilts into position. Inside the shell, muscles compress and valves lock as internal pressure builds rapidly. Then the cannon fires. A column of water erupts forward with explosive force, slamming Seadra against the rock wall. Overwhelmed by the sheer power of the blast, Seadra breaks free and escapes toward the open sea. The message is clear. This coastline has a guardian. Blastoise climbs higher along the basalt shelf where the sea crashes against jagged stone. Above the surf line, warm volcanic seat pools collect along the rock, and here a small colony of Squirtle gathers, young, watchful, still learning how to survive in a dangerous world. Blastoise approaches slowly, not like a hunter, but like a landmark rising from the coast. Instinctively, the Squirtle shift behind the giant shell, using the massive body as protection. High above, a shadow crosses the sky. Fearow circles once, scanning the ground for easy prey. The bird begins a dive, but halfway down, instinct changes its mind. The size, the armor, the cannons. Fearow banks away and disappears into the wind, searching for easier targets elsewhere. In this ecosystem, Blastoise is more than just another creature. It is shelter. But peace on the coastline never lasts long. The sea begins to change. Wingulls scatter into the air. Tentacools sink deeper beneath the surface. Even the tide seems to pause. Then the water breaks. From the deep ocean, Gyarados rises, a massive serpent of muscle and scale, coiling through the surf like a storm that has learned to swim. It surges forward with enormous momentum, jaws open wide. Blastoise braces. Claws dig deep into the basalt as the two giants collide with thunderous force. The rock trembles beneath them. Spray explodes across the shelf as Blastoise slides backward toward the edge. Gyarados attacks again, using its massive body like a living battering ram. Blastoise fires a cannon point blank. The blast slams into Gyarados and snaps its head sideways. For a moment, the attack works, but Gyarados does not retreat. It grows angrier. A violent tail sweep crashes across the shelf, striking Blastoise and pushing the fortress closer to the drop-off. Now the balance begins to shift. Near the edge of the shelf, deep water waits below, and in deep water, Gyarados dominates. Blastoise's claws scrape across the stone. One more shove could send the giant tumbling into the depths. Gyarados charges again, but Blastoise adapts. It lowers its body, tucking inward and transforming its shell into a living wedge. The next impact crashes against the armor, but the fortress holds. Then Blastoise pivots. Using the momentum of the attack, it rotates its body and redirects the force of the collision. It is not brute strength alone, it is engineering written into bone and shell. Blastoise rises suddenly. Both cannons align with terrifying precision. Inside the shell, pressure builds again. Then the cannons fire. Two thunderous blasts erupt back to back. The first slams into Gyarados' jaw, forcing its mouth shut. The second crashes into its gills, disrupting the flow of water through its massive body. The serpent thrashes violently as the shoreline erupts into chaos. Spray fills the air, Wingull retreat inland. Even distant Lapras turns away from the storm unfolding along the rocks. Gyarados attempts one final surge, trying to coil its body close and crush the fortress with sheer weight. But Blastoise fires directly into the charge. The blast lifts the serpent's head and breaks its rhythm. Without rhythm, even power loses control. Gyarados slides backward into deeper water. It circles once, furious, calculating the cost of continuing the fight. Then the giant serpent sinks beneath the waves. Blastoise does not chase. The fortress simply holds the shelf. Slowly, the coastline returns to life. Crabby creep from the cracks in the rock. Shelder loosen their grip. Tentacool drift upward through the returning current. In the shallows, Staryu glimmer once more like a distant star. The Squirtle emerge carefully from their hiding places. They watch the giant differently now, not just as protection, but as something to learn from.